sitting on the side of the road right now. You see that there are some cars behind me. There are actually cars behind us and all across the road too. And they should be coming out in just a minute. I've not seen them block traffic off yet, but this is usually always a pretty big deal. You see a lot of people, see there's still cars pulling over. This is usually a pretty big deal to our community. It's like I was telling y'all in the last video, we have such a tight-knit community that when something like this happens, it really just kind of affects everybody, because if you didn't know them personally, you still had a tie to the person somehow. And for us, you know, I've already shared that story with y'all. But this whole highway right here will actually be lined with people from, we're at the start of it, but the church is actually on this highway all the way down. And all the way down this highway, there will be people pulled over to honor this time and the service that he did in our community, which is one of the main reasons we're out here. There will be people pull over all the way down. I'm gonna set my camera up so y'all can kind of see how everything plays out here and what goes by. And this is usually a very touching moment, and you know, we just want to show our support for sure. So it's been a couple of days since funeral and everything that happened there to honor him. It has been a couple of days, and in those days I've had time to really just kind of sit and ponder on a couple of things that I want to share with y'all that really has weighed on me the past couple of days. And I really think that we have fallen as a generation and a family structure, but we're going to get to that in just a minute. I want to show y'all a couple of clips that were shared on Facebook just to give y'all an idea of kind of what took place that day, and then we'll get in our rant. What you actually just saw was the procession after the funeral, but I also want to show y'all a clip that another one of my friends shared on Facebook that was actually during the visitation, and she put the caption bone chilling, and it is very bone chilling, but I just want to give y'all an idea of what our community just kind of went through, and especially this family. And when officers are killed / murdered, it is a really big ordeal. It is a big ordeal when anybody is killed, obviously, but with intentions, like I feel like this was an intentional murder, not just a freak accident or random shooting. I really feel like this was done out of hate. So a lot of our community has really rallied together in support of backing our small community law enforcement officers and those who have to go out and put their lives on the line every day. So I wanted to show you all this because it was really good. So those are just a couple of the clips that I, of course, went out to the roadside and took my children because I want them to understand the importance of showing honor to someone who has to do that kind of job. And I want them to fully grasp the reality of it as well. So we went out in honor and respect of him and his family and the other officers that are out there as well, because they do this day in and day out. And I can't speak from experience, but I really would think that it blesses them by seeing people out there saying, we support you guys in what you do. And, you know, I've been able to just kind of ponder over the past couple of days, and just as new details and things have come out, a lot about what is really happening. So there's not just this random violence that's going on. There is a key factor behind it, and nobody wants to talk about it. And that's the thing that really makes me most irritated, is that we all know there's a common factor that's causing all of this, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to address it. That's really the key to all of this, and is the fall to our generations. We have seen from generation to generation to even my generation now what has come to because of all of this. So let's jump into that right now. The one thing that I really feel like is common in 9 out of 10 of these cases, y'all, when you start taking dads out of the home, dads aren't in the home, that shatters children. It does something to the children. For starters, there's no responsibility taught. There's very little structure there. And this is not in all the cases, I realize that. But when you remove dads out of the home, it creates a lot of problems. I couldn't even begin to list them all or discuss them all in just one video, but the break in that family cycle, a circle is strong when it's together, but if you take a piece of the circle out of the puzzle, that circle is not strong anymore. So when we see kids in the middle of a broken family structure, it creates problems. I don't care which way you want to look at it, it creates problems. Now, I know sometimes you just can't help those things, and I get that, but it doesn't undermine the fact that it creates problems. And when you throw in the fact that these children aren't being taken to church, it creates a whole nother cascade of problems on top of them not having leadership and dads in the home. So when you build a building, you don't start building it on shifting sand. So I said all that to say, really the key things that we see happen in our generations is there's more divorce rates than ever. There's more children born out of wedlock than ever. There's more people saying that they don't attend church regularly or have any kind of religious beliefs at all. And when you start going down that road, you start losing the fact of truth, what absolute truth really is, because then you see what we are seeing today. People can be whatever they want to be, identify with whatever they want to identify as, and there is no absolute truth anymore. We've taken absolute morals and absolute truth out of the picture, and it creates a world of confusion and a world of chaos. And when you get on this road, so to speak, of nothing but pure chaos and moral confusion, a lot of these kids are left depressed. And when they get in this boat of depression and they're going down this river and they don't know which way is the right way, then they start running into these things to fulfill these voids that they don't have in their lives anymore. And it's really a sad picture, because then they start placing things in their life like drugs and other addictions, other addicts and bad people that drags them down a road that literally just destroys their life. And then we're seeing so much hate in our nation amongst different communities and culture that it's really sickening. And I know that it comes from both sides, because some of the things that I showed y'all, guys, some of the things that the news was putting out there, and then to just go and start just going through the comments and reading the hate marks from one person to another, trying to take sides. Some people were obviously defending the police officer and other police officers and their line of duty, and others were boldly defending murderers, and just some of the language and vulgarity and hate is just unreal. And it all starts in the home. And if we don't have our family structure together, and we don't have our family structure in church focused on Christ, with the scriptures and the word being taught, there's nothing but confusion that's being bred there. And then when you throw in hate from the surrounding community or wherever you're at or wherever you're living in, y'all, it breeds grounds for violence, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So really, in order for all of this to stop, it is not going to stop, and it's not going to get any better until we see dads putting on their daddy pants, getting in the house, and start teaching scripture. If the dads are not taking on their responsibilities, all of the rest of the family structure is going to fall to pieces, because mom, as much as she wants to be mom and be a good mom, she can never be mom and dad at the same time. And a lot of these moms are being forced to be mom and dad at the same time. A lot of them having to work 2 jobs as well. And a lot of times we see moms stressed out to their max. They're trying to work multiple jobs. And when they're not in the home, the kids have all the freedom they want. There's no responsibility, there's no guidance, there's no teaching and training. A lot of times that gets left for the school systems to do, because that's where they're at most of the day, while mom is trying to work in the morning and work in the afternoon just to make ends meet. Guys, and we're seeing a fall of our nation. We're seeing confusion and chaos and violence. And it all stems because there's no spiritual dads leading the homes. And when that does not happen, you're going to see everything else fall apart. So y'all, that is my take on this. It's my rant on the whole thing. Oh, and sometimes, y'all, I know that there are bad kids that come from good families that were raised right. I understand that. Sometimes that does happen. I totally get that, and I'm not undermining that at all. However, a lot of what we see, a lot of this violence comes from broken homes, when there's not a dad doing his spiritual duty in the home, teaching and training these kids. This is what we see. And it's on both sides. It's black and white. Bottom line, and I realize, like I said, there are some situations where kids come from good homes and still make bad choices. They come from good homes in school, get tied in with the wrong crowds and go off in the wrong directions and get really, really messed up in life. I understand that happens, and like I said, I'm not undermining that at all. But when they get tied in with other kids, most of the time, those other kids that they're with comes from broken homes, broken families. The family structure is all messed up. Christ is not being taught in the home. So it all goes back to raising your kids right, teaching them not only morally right from wrong, but teaching them scripture, because really all of our morals, all of the truths, all of those right things all come out of scripture. So if we go to scripture first, we don't have to worry about all the other things getting twisted up, because ultimately our morals come from the Bible teaching. I want to leave y'all with a challenge of really what has been on me more than anything is praying for these kids, praying for dads in the home, because it is so important that our dads are being prayed over, prayed for, because ultimately they're the head of the house and they have a lot of responsibility. It doesn't fall on the moms, on the women, like it falls on the dad, or should fall on the dads. So let's remember to pray for them. They have a big job to step up and fulfill, and pray for the ones that maybe aren't doing that God would enlighten them and start showing them, hey, you have a job, and when you neglect your job, you're going to lose your kids. So let's start praying for that. Let's start praying for the dads of the home, praying scripture over them, and that they will look and run and seek his guidance, because anything else they run to is going to let them down. So guys, let's start praying over that in our homes. And when we get our homes right, our communities get right. And when we get our communities right, our states get right. And I don't know if all that'll happen, but it starts with us. We have to do our job as Christians to pray, and praying over the leaders of our home is one of the areas I feel like sometimes we neglect, but we should be praying over our fathers, we should be praying over our husbands, and we should be praying over our children, because one day they are going to grow up, our sons are going to grow up to have to fulfill those roles as well. So we need to start praying over those right now. Guys, thank you for tagging along. I just wanted to bring to you the realness of what has happened here in our community. I know it's sometimes easy to see it on TV and kind of write it off and bypass it, and sometimes we forget the realness of it. So I wanted to show y'all some of those clips. I wasn't able to attend, but I was able to go out and show my support to let them know that our community appreciates what they do, and that every day when they put their lives on the line, that we are thankful. We are thankful for them and what they do. God bless, and happy homesteading, y'all.